Well, let's get started. Welcome to a community conversation, and it's actually been a minute since we could reconnect in community, reconvene with our aspirations for young people in our community, and really just check in with our community to talk about where are we and where are we going and how are we doing? What kind of feedback do you need to give to us? And this tradition of community conversations is not new to us. It really began prior to the pandemic when we had a grand community conversation to really talk about where do we want to be as a school system and really how do we want to get there. So we're going to give you an update today on our progress on what we heard from our community at that time, and we're going to be able to really just get very close to home through the voices and leadership of principals and school leaders right here in the Locust Grove community to talk about what that means for our daily opportunity to have an excellent education. So to kick us off, I think we're jumping right in to a quick video.
I belong to community professionals driven to support students. I belong to community where game change that students have to step out.
I belong to a community where my confidence skills can be displayed.
I belong to a community where I can excel on and off the field, in and out of the classroom.
I belong to a community where everyone working together adds up to equal opportunities for all students.
I belong to a community where to be ourselves good is feel like ourselves.
I belong to a community where we care about nourishing our children.
I belong to a community that values maintaining our facilities for our students.
I belong to a community where we draw inspiration from the environment around us.
I belong to a community where everyone is working in a group together results in a specific success.
I belong to a community of exceptional learners.
I belong to a community that values safety for our students and staff.
I belong to a community where a smile and a helping hand can foster everyone's sense of belonging.
I belong to a community where leading starts with listening.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I belong to a community that values the role we play.
I belong to a community where your well-being is held in its highest regard.
I belong to a community who believes in the power of access to information and knowledge.
I belong.
It really just takes a moment to set the tone for a season that we've entered in Henry County Schools that is focused on every young person knowing that they are highly valued, they are loved, and they belong in a Henry County classroom. And while we're at it, they will learn more in a Henry County classroom than they can anywhere else. And that is our commitment and the guarantee that we are working toward each and every day. And I love that so many students are right here in our community conversation because this is about realizing the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the community in which our schools reside. But I start on a quick slide that just really provides you a summary that there was a season where we were building our foundation as an organization and really generating clear convictions about the quality of an education and how we would go about every student in every classroom in every corner of our community having access to that quality education. We had this grand conversation on building off this foundation so that we could have a clear 5-year strategic plan. And after 8,000 people participated, many of you who I see here again today, participated in that conversation between December 2019 right into February of 2020. We had our first reading of a 5-year ambitious strategic plan that was inspired by the voices of our community. And we read it for the very first time on March 9th, 2020. And 72 hours later, we closed schools for what we thought would be 2 weeks. And 72 hours after that, Our employees, our teachers, our leaders, and every job family turned their kitchen tables into classrooms and into their profession for a season of 2 years that could have given us anything but consistency in education access. But the persistence and perseverance of young people and educators in Henry County actually prevailed. And so I'm taking a moment today because it's important to talk about where we are as we emerge from the worldwide pandemic and set our eyes right back on that future. And it is to make sure that your view of national headlines, the national headlines that say learning loss and learning disruption and irrecoverable gaps for kids, set back multiple years, those headlines are just not true in Henry County schools. And that is because of our kids, our incredible connection to families, and the best possible team of public educators there are in the business. So let's take a quick look of where we are today. We're going to talk about our future, and then I'm turning it over to the principals of the cluster to really make it come to life at home. So I'm going to start with a quick glimpse of Locust Grove Cluster. I'm sure they're going to talk a little bit more about their performance well beyond this, but this was our first glimpse of state metrics that emerged from the spring of last year. And what you see highlighted in gray is areas where there was growth, actually double-digit growth from pre-pandemic performance. So for Locust Grove High School, if you look at Algebra 1 with a 12-point improvement, that's a 12-point improvement in performance in Algebra 1 over pre-pandemic performance. Do you understand how amazing that is? I also see that we've got biology with an 11-point growth in the high school, and look at Locust Grove Middle School with a 30-point growth in Algebra 1 for 8th graders. Every other data point you see on there shows growth over pre-pandemic performance, but we're not just talking about little drips of growth. We're talking about serious, substantial improvement, and that is what happened while headlines across the country are telling a story of learning loss, learning disruption, and irrecoverable academic decreases. It's just not true for Locust Grove. And I want you to just pause and give Locust Grove an incredible round of applause. And I could brag about Locust Grove Cluster all day, but I am here to make sure you know that those bright spots exist around the entire district. 52 schools in our community, and you can see every single cluster has double-digit gains over pre-pandemic performance. That's what the gray highlights indicate, and all of them have schools with double-digit gains all throughout. And as we reflect on what the pre-pandemic performance revealed about academic learning, we do care today about what bright spots may be revealing our gaps that exist. But we get to target those gaps now, and that's what our schools are focused on doing. I want to focus here on Algebra 1 performance real quickly. Algebra 1 is considered a gateway to high school graduation on time, as well as a prerequisite to success in college. And you can see on this graph that from pre-pandemic performance, Henry County Schools is in yellow. It showed an 8-point growth out of the entire district of Algebra 1 students over pre-pandemic performance, while every other district showed substantial decreases. So I am really just trying to drive home a moment of where our teachers are lifted up to absolute stardom for what was accomplished and the commitment that kids showed to their academics throughout this entire season. And along with Marietta City, we are the only districts that showed growth from pre-pandemic performance on this very vital academic area. And you can see the same with reading performance. This is actually showing you that the number of schools in Henry County schools that showed reading proficiency growth last year. We actually had 46 of our 52 schools show growth in reading proficiency. That's elementary, middle, and high, and that is really extraordinary given the levels of disruption, disconnection, and lack of routines that many people did experience. So all of that is to say that where we are today does not require us to redo as much as many national headlines might suggest. Instead, during this season of disruption, we never forgot to nurture the hopes, dreams, and aspirations we learned from our community in December 2019 and 2020. And we've been able to begin delivering on our community's priorities through our strategic plan. And our strategic plan, which has now been, it was launched in the middle of the pandemic, is now in full swing. It does consist of something we call priority outcomes. These are the metrics that you told us mattered to you to be successful. These were things like students graduating from high school who want to go to college not having to take remedial courses because of the quality of their high school education. It's metrics that talk about our kindergartners starting kindergarten ready for the skills and the knowledge that kindergarten requires. And out of that has been born beautiful Birth to 5 partnerships with our early child care providers in the community, and our opportunity to have priority student outcomes above and beyond what the state accountability requires is a direct reflection of the priorities we heard our community share with us. And the second part is our strategic actions. This is the big work that creates new opportunities for kids, more opportunities for kids, and is really collectively identified with increasing opportunities, advancing access into those opportunities, and then advancing outcomes for all kids. So a quick update of where we are is starting with our first strategic action. You should already be seeing that in every one of our elementary schools, all 29 of them have a STEM lab. They now have robotics equipment. We have computer science and robotics in our middle schools. We've had an extraordinary investment in the arts, where we see chorus programs and instrument introduction programs beginning in our elementary schools, with every middle and high school now starting up orchestra and band programs. We have introduced a writing resource, and hopefully coming home, you are seeing more student writing, really rigorous writing, starting to really get good feedback on that writing. And we've had an extraordinary growth in the number of students qualifying for gifted education, advanced 4th and 5th grade math, high school courses while in middle school, and AP courses in high school. As a matter of fact, in elementary school, we have seen a growth from 740 students to 1,000 students who have access to advanced math in 4th and 5th grade. In middle school, we have seen an increase from 1,014 students to 2,500 students now taking a high school course as a middle schooler. And in our high schools, we've had a 16% increase in the participation in advanced placement courses. You see those national headlines? This is the real story in Henry County schools, and this is access into opportunities for kids. Coming soon, oh, I should say, the Board of Education just adopted their first ever financial literacy standards. Lots of families want to send their big kids to it now, or maybe their spouse, and this is really that our kids are going to get some skills and techniques in managing finances starting with kindergarten. Coming soon, you're going to see world languages in elementary schools and theater programs at all levels. Our second strategic action has really been all about people. It's really been about how we advance our compensation and our classification, and had a historic improvement in compensation for the organization in the last year. Launched a Teacher Leader Academy for our extraordinary teachers, and we are really excited to see what's coming to life. We actually had a public announcement today of redesigning the teacher preparation pipeline and seeing today's kindergartners as future teachers, today's 6th graders as teachers we're going to hire in 7 years. And we've launched a program where in high school you could have a customized coursework where you could earn 33 dual enrollment credits and get paid to be a work-based placement in a school or classroom your junior and senior year. We're super excited about changing the game on teacher preparation. Strategic action number 3 is all about every family knowing they are welcomed, loved, and valued in Henry County schools. And we have a welcome center now for newcomers to the community. We have improved our translation services, and hopefully you have seen Henry Connect's Family View, which extends the classroom into your living room so that your connection to academics is only growing and growing. We're looking forward to expanding our mentoring and volunteer programs, and launching a foundation for the first time ever to have staff and student scholarships that we're able to deliver on. All right, let's get to strategic action number 4, and this is really about the well-being and health of young people and employees in our community. This has included reimagining a comprehensive counseling program and really providing students access to a Henry Futures planning tool, which is really about post-secondary and career planning. We have a mental health and wellness facilitator at every school with wellness plans at every school, and our board is really serious about starting to balance screen time that kids experience. And so there are some guardrails now in place in our classroom instruction so that our time is spent with interaction with peer, interaction with teacher, and really holding supplies and manipulatives and art materials so that our learning is really alive and we are seeing less and less screens playing a role in young people's lives. And then we get to our strategic action number 5. This is about the organization functioning as a strong operating system. You know, we have 52 campuses, we have 43,000 young people, we employ 6,000 employees, we're the largest employer in Henry County Schools. You want our operations to be efficient and effective. One of the key deliverables that has come out of this is the opportunity to introduce growth and replacement for every item that's purchased over the course of a life cycle. And what that really means, and we're in Locust Grove High School, which is a beautiful school, but not every one of our schools was built in the last 20 years. And we had not historically had a plan for how you would replace the coral risers, or how would the microscopes be refreshed in the 7th grade classroom. So every classroom and every academic space now has a basic equipment list, and we will begin the journey of refreshing classroom equipment and furniture in every classroom. It's going to take a minute, but we will pilot 3 elementary schools this year. That's everything from the kindergarten rug to the kidney bean table to the classroom desks, and really a commitment to knowing the life cycle and life of every asset that is purchased, and having a strong inventory and management system so that it can be replaced before it is unusable or worn. We're also in the process of soliciting an enterprise resource management system, an ERP. This is our human resource practices, our financial practices, and our document storage practices. And while you don't see those things, we do not currently have an automated or digitized system. Every action requires a human touch, which is very uncommon for the size of a district that we operate. We look forward to our asset management framework expanding over the next couple of years, and we are looking forward to the acquisition of an ERP. The last thing I want to bring up is that our community really went to the polls and endorsed our EXCERPT program in March of 2021. And it was at this time that we have been able to fund our HVAC elementary school gyms. Our elementary school gyms will be air conditioning. And then all the PE teachers across the district said, hallelujah. So that is actually an ESSER funded project, but we are well on our way on getting those gyms air conditioned. And all the parents that had to sit in some sort of ceremony in the gym wondering, why is this not air conditioned? We are in Georgia. We're on an aggressive transportation improvement plan, and we will purchase 125 buses over the next 5 years, and we are already well into our way, and we'll bring another round of buses to be purchased in the November board meeting. And we'll have a second facility plan for the west side of 75, so that our buses spend less time traversing 75. Every one of our schools, including our Locust Grove cluster, will have a buzzer entrance system, and that will be installed by December of this year. So when you approach the school, you are buzzing to enter and be greeted by someone in the front office who can either let you in or meet you or ask you what you're here to do. And if you're an employee, you'll have a badge, and you'll be able to enter without a key, but you'll have your keyless badge. Excited about that, and that's part of our safety improvement plan, and we're going to talk a little bit about safety here in a second. We distributed 43,000 devices in 7 days back in August. That's kind of unbelievable, but that was an amazing feat as we refreshed, thanks to the East Blast endorsement, all of our student Chromebooks. And then we've got some facility growth projects, and I know you've had some time talking about growth earlier today, but of course our Locust Grove High School addition is on schedule, and we definitely look forward to bringing that into fruition. So the last bit of time I'm going to spend with you is to talk about school safety. We do not take it lightly that families and educators every day come into our schools, and that it is top of our mind around the clock, the responsibility to keep young people, our employees, and everyone in our school community safe. And we have had a series of investments, and you've seen all of that happen, from the single point of entry at the front of our high school buildings to now getting to the buzzer system. You know that we check in our visitors now, and we check out our visitors with a very consistent approach, and all of our employees wear a badge. And we've made a lot of other investments in many of the infrastructure to our schools. But over the summer, we made a transition in the provider of our SRO units. As a matter of fact, we've had a long-standing relationship with the Sheriff's Department to provide, in partnership, an SRO for our high schools and middle schools, but the Board of Education said they wanted to get to the national standard, which is one SRO for every 1,000 students, which would be 43 SROs for us. So we're on an ambitious commitment to growing our SRO force. But I'm able to introduce team members that are here today, and I'd like to invite to come to the front. And Johnny, you're welcome to come right on up with him. Because we think this is a perfect time to put a face with a name and a story and a philosophy of why we do what we do and why we do what we do all night long. Johnny Stafford, of course, is on our team, and our Henry County Police Department is now the provider of our SRO. So I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few things. Oh yeah, here, I can give you this.
I don't know if I can project it that loud. How is everyone? Wonderful. I'm Lieutenant Hampson with Henry County Police Department, and I can tell you that it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I couldn't start the SRO journey without saying this story. So my first day was about 3 weeks ago. I want to go to all the schools. I want to meet all the kids. I want to meet everybody. And I've never had more children. And I look down and I'm like, I want to meet you for Halloween. And I said, please pick somebody with more hair and better blood pressure. But it took a piece of my heart. Some of the things that we have implemented, of course, safety is paramount. And truthfully, we're getting there, but it takes all of us. One thing that's most important that we do is we plant seeds and we watch them grow. And we are a bridge builder. One thing about Henry County Police Department, we want connections and we want to be in the community. I served several years as community policing, and I have watched the change. And it's so important. It's not just us, it is all of us. And I'm amazed by the things that we accomplish when we all come together for the common good. It's amazing what we do. So what I want to do is change some of the narrative. The narrative, the stigma that is created around this uniform. I want to change the narrative for the future. Because one thing that I truly believe is that the future of our county, state, and country is here. It's here in these kids. And that is truly amazing how we can be a part of their lives. And I've watched it happen. And truthfully, the last 3 weeks for us have been magnificent. It's been incredible. Together with the administration, and some of our support systems, especially at home. My wife, Gina, teaches first grade at Community Grove. She keeps me grounded on days that I come home and I'm like, it's amazing what you all do. It is amazing. It's different than dealing with the general public because you get to get in there early and change things for the better. And I truly believe that us as a part of it, we're going to achieve great things. But of course, safety is number one. They have to feel safe. In order for education to flourish, we have to feel safe in our schools. So together with Johnny, I'm taking all this time. Do you want some of this time? You're doing a great job. Y'all know Johnny? Johnny Stafford and us, we work together very, very well. We get ahead of it. So very much.
Thank you. Everyone give Lieutenant Hampson. I'll be very brief. I just want say that his heartfelt message that he was sharing with you guys is equivalent across the board with our SRO unit. So we're putting people in places that really have a heart for what they're doing. They want to be a part of change and connectivity amongst our whole community across National Police Program across the weekend. So we're grateful and thankful and looking forward to a positive week.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Now, faces with names, but also parents of kids that are right here in our Henry County community. And when I say they are working 24 hours a day, that is what we are doing. And we have a level of commitment to safety that I think is just absolutely extraordinary, but it's also not only about the relationships that our team is building and the opportunity for counseling and teaching and mentoring, it is also about the techniques that we are using. And so I do want to just focus on the enhancements that we've made in 2022-23, the commitment to increase our ratio of SROs. We see SROs as the key component to our overall safety strategy, and it's really been a remarkable journey since July when we have transitioned to our Henry County Police Department as our provider for SROs. We have introduced a campus safety monitor at the middle and high school, and it's really because our focus this year is monitoring. How do we know doors are locked and exterior doors are locked and check-in and check-out is happening, and how do we know? So we've really started to institute some approaches to that, where I can call Mr. Stafford and say, how do we know right now at Locust Grove High School every door is locked? And I want to make sure that we know that we know. And I think our focus on monitoring has been extraordinary, and I'm seeing in every building that I go in, focused on what's happening inside the classroom and how do I know that the classroom is safe. And then I also wanted to just mention that you are familiar with the drills that we do, and we like our families to feel comfortable with our approach to routines and drills, and knowing that we are going to be prepared. And how we, if you ever wonder how to talk to your children about that, we would invite you to talk to an administrator so that you can really join us in finding the right words. And because we love school, and we think school should be nothing but a place of joy and love. And so the way we talk through our responsibility with one another and toward one another is really something our administrators work a lot on. But you're going to see in the future an increase of cameras in our elementary schools. You're going to see us explore integration of our camera system with the Real-Time Crime Center, and you're also going to see us exploring the most advanced technologies that exist for detection services. And this is not anything we're ever done working on. So there'll be a breakout session today where you can talk a little bit about your observations of where we could get better so that we can really funnel that into our strategy to continue to improve. That really brings me to the end of what I really wanted to talk about from a district perspective, because I think what's really beautiful about our time together is that what we are doing across a district of 52 schools is really just modeled with exemplary practice right here in the Locust Grove community. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the team. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Townsend, the principal, whom you know, of Locust Grove High School.